Together with my fellow hosts, we want to thank you all for joining in to kick off the first ever Creative Mornings for the Great Lakes. Creative Mornings, as it started in 2008 and continues to grow globally, gathers folks around stories. We celebrate the voices of our local creative communities and find togetherness over that. Rather than just zooming with our own cities, let's find the story and celebrate the community here in the Great Lakes region. Community is not bound by physical space. We are not just one venue. And figuring out that this year feels especially good. So if it's available to you, let's get hands up and shaking in a shared language of appreciation for a writer who is converting a bus into a poetry caravan, Julio Montalvo Valentin.
Anatomy of a page. Heavy with punctuation, with indented language, reflections give frame, for only a good reader can count the number of times your heart has folded in the gutters. A many of your experiences, pressed and inked within the grids we have built our stories upon, do not disappear, even after the erasure. Instead, you are more than them. You are more than them. If your back edge is burdened with many of your experiences, heavy with punctuation in ones and zeros, if your baseline grid has been berated, pressed and inked with indented language within the grids, if your modules hold nothing we have built our stories upon, but reflections of your images in ones and zeros, if your foredge gives frame, do not disappear, even after the erasure. Then to the infinite columns of ones and zeros for reiterated compromises, where only then a good reader can count the number of times you are more than them. Even when your heart has folded in the gutters, you are more than them. Like language, we were never made to obey the line. You write out the blood clots found only under fingernails and wander in the ponderings of letters, hoping it will conflagrate the way memories do, when nothing but words are left to speak for the ghosts inside you. Back formed into the trellis of words, you inherit promise that no matter the path you find yourself stitched to, it will always offer growth and sky as to make meaning out of the travels, regardless the columns we root from. Before history, there was you, wide mouth at the hinges of a revolving door called time. A surface you have only learned how to write out of the darkness and find no living thing that knows not of hunger, the horror, and the hope you come to embody. Thank you and have a creative morning.
Okay, thank you so much, Julio. Can we make some noise like Great Lakes? Like, let's wake up in the morning. Let's make some loud claps and put it into the chat. Thank you so much for waking us up and bringing such beautiful poetry to our Fridays today. Hey, folks, I'm Marlene Paez-Dukes. I am the host from Chicago. Welcome, everybody. All right, hello, folks that are also from the 606, repping it really hard this morning. We want to be able to thank a lot of our global sponsors and our sponsors this morning because without their generosity, we would not be able to put these events together. So shout outs to MailChimp for providing our marketing for all the global chapters around the world. They have an awesome platform that we want to raise up. If we can cue up the next slide, please. Right? So Essentials, if you are watching online, they have partnered with Vice, and they have a whole series talking about other small businesses who have been able to survive and thrive despite where we are in this pandemic. And we also want to thank our other global sponsor, which is Basecamp, who surprisingly happens to be in Chicago as well. Thank you so much for being our project management tool, keeping all of our chapters really organized every single month. And they also have a great platform for email, which is called Hey. And if we can go to the next slide. Yes, you also want to listen to their podcast. There's a really good episode about an email that changed some of the founders' lives. So we're going to put it into the chat. Definitely listen to it. And we want to thank some of our other sponsors that are all over the Great Lakes as well. Okay, so the first person that I want to be able to thank is the space that we are in right now, Wildman, Boiler and Tank. So I'm going to bring Kelly O'Sullivan into the stage right now, who's going to tell you a little bit about this space. Thanks so much.
Sure. Hi, I'm Michelle O'Sullivan. I am a partner and director of events and studio here at Trope. We are a boutique publishing company focusing on emerging artists, creatives, storytellers, and influencers. Moreover, in the photography space, we're proud to publish books, produce films, create experiences, all focused on new narratives that deserve a lot of new attention and different perspectives. All of our work can be found at trope.com, and you'll see our books and prints there, as well as Trope Reader, which is a topical blog from all of our photographers and offering varied perspectives, on how they see the creative world. As Marlene said, we're here at Wildman BT, which is home of Trope. It's a 12,000 square foot iconic Chicago factory that we renovated over the last 2 years into a new space for creative manufacturing. And we welcome all creatives to produce their own film and video and events, as well as private events and experiences here at Wildman. So thanks so much to everyone at the Great Lakes, and I really appreciate being able to host Creative Mornings.
Cool, and thank you so much, Kelly. That was, or Michelle and Kelly. That was so awesome. Thank you again. So yeah, let's give a shout out to all of our local sponsors. We move on to the next slide. We want to thank Northwater Production. They're an awesome creative agency out in Cleveland. Also they're an Emmy award-winning agency as well. Thank you to Kendra Schmidt, who is rocking and providing accessibility this morning from Deaf Access Services. Holler to Dollar Bank, making sure that, our banking experience is really great out in Cleveland too. Open Water, keeping us super hydrated here in Chicago. Ink Factory, who does a lot of digital illustration. Thank you. Shout outs to Trope, KEH Camera, we love you. Thank you for making sure that all of our cameras here are working super, super well. I mean, you're photographing us for the past, 40 years in business? Thank you. Shout outs to Mono Machine, who has been also live streaming this event. Shout outs to Dave Marslick out from Big Shoulders, caffeinating us this morning. And last but not least, Stylin' Network, with an amazing collective of hip hop and collaborative artists from all over the city of Chicago. And we want to give a shout out to DJ Jillian X. And what it's time for right now, we're all gonna get up and dance too. So come on, stretch it out. We're gonna do our 30-second dance break, folks. So DJ Jillian X, kick it up. Thank you so much for dancing with us. I'm going to bring it over to Toronto with Ivan Ruiz. Ivan, over to you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for 30-second pitches. This is the time where anyone gets on stage and pitches for 30 seconds. And by anyone, we mean some people we have pre-selected because we are virtual. So our first 30-second pitcher is from Chicago, Mr. Alex Massa.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Alex Massa, and I'm here to talk to you about my record that's dropping on November 1st. It's called Water Music, and it focuses on the situations that have happened in Standing Rock, Flint, Michigan, and the San Bernardino watershed in California. It was recorded in Chicago by Chicago musicians. And just like healthcare, I believe that water is a fundamental human right. You can find out more on my website, massanotmassa.com, or on my Instagram at massanotmassa, MASSANOTMASSA. Thank you.
And we'll put that in the chat as well, I think, Alex, if you have an opportunity. Next, we're going to Toronto. Please welcome Anna Maria. And Anna Maria, you can turn on your camera and microphone there.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, take it away.
Okay, so my name is Anna Maria and I'm the social media manager at Dispatch Coffee. So Dispatch is a small coffee roaster in Montreal, and our mission is to make better coffee accessible to more people by delivering coffee and their stories directly to your homes through our online subscription service. So if you've ever wondered why some coffees are fruity and some are nutty, today we're inviting you to ask us anything that you want to know about coffee, and we'll share those questions and answers on our Instagram page, so you can find us at Dispatch Coffee. Thanks.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we go to Cleveland. And please welcome Grace Gallucci.
Good morning, Great Lakes. My name is Grace Gallucci, Executive Director and CEO of the Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency. I'm delighted to be able to participate in this Creative Mornings event and briefly talk about the Great Lakes Hyperloop system and what it means to Northeast Ohio and our Great Lakes region. Let me say from the outset, I have worked in the world of transportation for many years, too many to really admit to, and I can proudly say that the Hyperloop technology is real and achievable, and we in Northeast Ohio are making it happen. And we're very happy to be leading this effort with our partner, Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, who will be presenting this morning. What the Hyperloop represents to Northeast Ohio is so much more than just speed and efficiency. It opens up our region to the rest of the Midwest, connecting us all in a network of technology, resources, people, and jobs, transforming how we define our region. We are talking about connecting the region and communities with a transportation system at high travel speeds from Cleveland to Chicago and Pittsburgh in less than an hour. Thank you so much for having us this morning talk about the Hyperloop.
I'm just going to say it, Hyperloop, Toronto to Cleveland. Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the 30-second pitches. Thank you all so much for jumping in. Just for funsies, can we get a little gibberish applause for all our 30-second speakers? There you go, put in a little gibberish to show your applause. And now I'm going to pass it over. We're going to Grand Rapids. Let's give it up for the host of Grand Rapids, Emily.
Hello, morning people. I'm Emily, the host for the Grand Rapids chapter, and I am thrilled to introduce to you our very own wave-making graffiti artist, Guillermo Sotelo, also known as Asthma Speaks on the Gram. Guillermo is a Grand Rapids native who has spent the last decade turning his passion for graffiti and art into elements of vibrant self-expression and community. And today, Guillermo is going to lead us through creating a very quick and 4 minutes digital mural together. But first, here is how you can participate and grab your tools. If you go up to the top of your screen and click annotate, a drop down will happen, and then there's a button that says draw. And when you click on that, it'll give you a bunch of different options of what you can draw with. But without further ado, take it away, Guillermo. Definitely feel free to start exploring with the tools while Guillermo goes off of mute. The amount of joy on faces right now of scribbling is amazing. I don't know where Guillermo is. If you're out there, buddy, feel free to join in at any time. Otherwise, y'all, don't stop. This is amazing.
Also, props to the DJ right now because I'm digging the beats. This Jillian X, oh, taking me back to my teens.
Oh no, Guillermo just texted in and said that his connection dropped. Computers, technology, y'all, we are doing our best. While we're
This
all
is really cool.
edgy and focused, don't forget to vote in a couple weeks. That's another edgy and great thing to do as a community.
Oh.
Okay. Beautiful job, everyone. That's the happiest train I ever did see. Well, Gabriel's not here right now because of internet, but definitely go check him out. He's doing incredible work with graffiti and is also just the nicest dude to get to know and befriend.
Hey, Emily, maybe he can join by the very end of the event.
Yes, if he comes back, we'll put something together.
I'll definitely stay.
Yes. Okay. So I'm so sorry, y'all, but I do have to remove. Okay.
Yay!
Thanks, team. Next up, I want to chat to you guys about our field trips. I'm so sorry. Where are we at? Guillermo. Nope, it's time for breakouts. How did we get all the way over? We're going to stop sharing.
Yvonne, let's just hit it
Yeah,
up.
no worries. Okay, everybody.
Thanks. Thanks, Yvonne.
No problem. Listen, mistakes are gifts because we all had more time to draw. And speaking of we all, so one of my favorite parts of Creative Mornings was always getting to meet people. And so what we're going to do right now is in a moment, everyone is going to be sent into a breakout room with about 10 people. You're going to have about 4 to 5 minutes to kind of meet each other and chat with each other. And we have 2, 3 even questions that we'll see for you all to discuss to get the conversation going. Okay. Remember them, pick them. We'll put them up on the screen later. I'm even going to put them in the chat after I'm done, but it's just something to get you all talking. So here are the 3 questions that you're going to talk about when you go into your breakout room. First, everyone say hello. By the way, I just learned that. That's hello and sign. And here are the 3 questions you'll talk about in your breakout rooms. Number 1, if you had to visit all of the Great Lake Creative Mornings, if you did an amazing road trip, what combination of transit would you use? I mean, I would take a boat across the lake and then an electric skateboard because I'm now too old to skateboard. And I don't know how far away you guys are from each other in America, but that's one. Question number 2, what does your city need more of in terms of transportation? What type of transportation does your city need more of? I think Toronto needs like more electric skateboards. And then what type of transit don't you have in your city that you wish you had? Surprise, I'm going to say electric skateboards. All right, can I get a double thumbs up from everybody? If you understand the questions, you're ready to go in the chat. Make sure your cameras and microphones are on. And when we are ready, Nick, we can send everyone into a breakout room.
Hey folks, and if you need ASL services in your breakout room, let us know in the chat. We will be sure you are in that room with our interpreter, Kendra.
Kelly, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that because I even said the sign thing. Thank you. Always on the ball. That's really awesome. So ladies and gentlemen, some of you may have you may have seen an invite to go into a breakout room. You can just push join. And for my co-hosts, if you get thrown into a breakout room, you can jump back out or you can push later.
I was alone in my room, so I came back.
Oh, it might take a few minutes there, Bryn.
Okay.
So Bryn, it's no big deal. Nick, if you go into the breakout rooms, and you may know how to do this, you can actually just assign Bryn to a different room. You'll see her name in the main page. And if worst comes to worst, Bryn, and everyone else who's still in the main room, we can have our discussion here.
Okay.
So if you're still in the main room and you haven't seen a pop-up, not to worry. We can just start chatting here. We can all just go around the room and say hello.
Oh, I can go back. I think I can go back.
Yeah, try it
I'll
out.
try and go back. I'll see if there are people.
Try it out. And for everyone that's still in the room here, this is mainly, I think, CMTO people, but some others too. Judy, hello. Martha, hello. Drea, Allison, hello. This is hello in sign.
Good morning. I like that. Creative morning.
How are y'all doing? Let's talk about transit.
Transit.
Who wants to get electric skateboards? That's what I'm saying.
Not my thing. I don't know. I miss the revolution. But give me a bike and I'm happy. You know, I can go anywhere on a bike.
What do you all think about segways?
I think they're kind of goofy. Like they're like an accessory.
How about you, Kathy? And by the way, you guys can all put on your microphones right now. Don't be shy. We are going to use this like one of the breakout rooms. We're all here. Our CMTO people, don't worry about them. They're busy planning away for the next section, not to worry. But if you're not an organizer, just turn on your microphone, say hello.
Well,
our timer, you can just let me know when you have about a minute left.
I somehow ended up in a breakout room by myself. So I hopped out and came back to the main sessions.
That's all good in the hood. All good.
Anyway, hi all. I'm from Cleveland. We need more light rail in this city to be able to do more regional stuff. I used to live in Chicago and I missed having, great infrastructure for public transportation in Chicago, but Cleveland needs a lot more of that.
Ditto. I'm Cleveland too. And it just, you know what? I don't care what it is. It just needs more. You know, like buses are great, it needs more frequent, like people aren't going to use it if it's not reliable and if it's not frequent.
Yeah.
Period. End of story.
Yep.
I'm in Toronto. I think we need more bikes, bike path infrastructure, and we need to reduce car infrastructure.
Big time. Dylan, I'm also in Toronto, hence the thing. And yesterday I took a shared car to drop off. I went to like the food bank. I dropped off a bunch of stuff at the food bank. Man, was I frustrated. I haven't driven in years, like regularly. And it took the traffic, the parking. I made a wrong turn. Everything in Toronto is one-way streets. So you make a wrong turn, it's like 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
Do we have any Chicago people here? Or are we all Cleveland,
I'm from
Toronto?
Chicago.
How's Chicago transit? Blah, blah.
Chicago is, it's a driving city.
Time.
I can barely hear him. I've got drummer's ear.
I'm in Buffalo. We need trains.
I hear you, man.
I'm not sure if that's for us, Jennifer, and whoever spoke in Chicago. I think they're talking about the music and everything like that. So you guys keep talking. Chicago needs trains? Sorry,
Nope.
Buffalo needs trains.
Buffalo needs trains. And we need to fix the border so I can get back to Toronto.
Well, okay, please excuse my ignorance here. Please excuse my ignorance. Dylan, maybe you're more educated than me. Is Buffalo on the water? Is it on the Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
We're here.
I think ferries would be a really great thing to have. Like ferries, like speed ferries.
I live on Ferry Street in Buffalo. There used to be one. We need one.
They tried that back in the early mid 90s, didn't they?
Cool.
That was before I got here.
Nick, if you are there, can you put in the breakout rooms, you should have the option when you open the window to send a message. Can you send a message to everyone saying we are closing the breakout rooms? Oh, perfect. You did it. Thank you. Gang, I'm going to start letting everyone back in, okay? We can actually close their breakout rooms now because they might have a timer. Nick, if you want. Oh, and people are coming back. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. As everyone is coming back in, welcome, welcome. In the chat, put down what type of transit people wanted to see more of in your cities, or what did you all talk about in terms of what type of transit people want more of? Segways, and I'm just going to welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. As you are coming back into the main chat, let's put down what type of transit you all wanted to see more of. We're going to do an unofficial poll. What's the type of transit you want the most of in your city as we're all coming back? Let's put that in the chat. Biking, Uber Kids, trains. That's right. Everybody keep coming back in. What type of transit do you want to see more of? And I'm going to say right now, I'm very disappointed that I don't see electric skateboards. I was hoping for more votes for electric skateboards. There's no skateboarders in the room. Once you get 40 years old, you can't skateboard anymore. We need the electrics. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you.
No one wanted to state the obvious, Ivan.
That is awesome. That's sign for awesome. Thank you all very much. I hope you all had fun meeting with each other. And now I'm going to pass it over to Anna Marie, our CM host from Detroit, to lead into our next section.
So awesome. It's Anne Marie. I can see how that would be confusing, but no worries.
Anne Marie, 1,000 apologies. I still love Detroit. You're amazing.
No worries. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It's amazing to see all of the Great Lakes coming together. I am here to introduce Jan and Greg Thompson. They are their husband-wife duo that formed Humankind. They are known as Humankind Quest on Instagram, so check them out. They were originally going to be spending 2020 traveling the world, but like many of us had to divert their plans. So they came home to us to Detroit. So we are very lucky to have them back here. And they wrote this beautiful song that you're about to enjoy specifically for this event. And it's beautiful and amazing, as are they. Hope you enjoy them. So please kick it over to Jan and Greg of Humankind.
Hi, everyone.
Humankind is what we'll find. Humankind is in our lives. As we travel through the seasons, we all witness the same things. All the miracles of nature and migration's many wings. The humid heat of summer, the frigid cold of snow, the hope of a new springtime, the maple leaves that glow. Humankind is what we'll find. Humankind is in our lives. In the cities of the land of Lincoln, to the crossroads of the USA, in the place of 1,000 waters, to the mitten where we play, the morning dove above us, the liberty's silent way, all around the Great Lakes its beauty, which unites us day by day. Humankind is what we'll find. Humankind is in our lives.
Thank you. That was Humankind. Thanks to Jan and Greg. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Please go follow them on Humankind Quest on Instagram. Thank you. I'm going to kick it over to the beautiful host of Grand Rapids, Emily, to you.
Hey guys, it's me again. I loved that music. Let's just keep clapping on our own time. You guys, I can't believe you wrote a song especially for this event. We are beyond lucky. Thank you. Thank you. Next up is a raffle, and not just any raffle, the best kind of raffle for morning people, a raffle for coffee. But what we need you to do is to get your virtual background up if you have one. And we're going to have our mods go through and look at them for a couple minutes. And they're going to pick out 6 different winners. We have 6 bags of coffee from each of the participating Great Lakes cities. And while they are looking through all of these awesome virtual backgrounds, I'm going to go back a couple slides to talk about an amazing field trip. So we're excited to tell you about an awesome virtual field trip out of Chicago. It's called Visual Note Taking 101. And this field trip will whisk you away to Ink Factory's new studio in the Avondale neighborhood of Chicago. In this workshop, you'll learn the 2 things most often requested from their workshops, the basics of developing your visual library and how to approach composition. You'll also get a sneak peek at their visual communication studio and their favorite tools for visual note-taking. This workshop is designed to be energizing, engaging, and for all skill levels, which sounds amazing. When is it? Next Monday, the 28th of October at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. There's going to be a link sent out from your host of your own chapter, so look out for that. Now back to coffee. All right, guys. 6 winners
Hey,
are happening.
I have 6 winners. These are so hard to choose from.
Can we see the gallery view because we're not seeing the background?
Yes.
Okay,
thank you.
Winner number 1 was near and dear to my heart. It was a Simpsons background from, I took a screenshot, Sonia Baldes. I'm gonna butcher that name. I'm really sorry about that. But Sonia, I loved her Simpson background. I also loved Kyle Baptista from Toronto. He had an analog background. He had all the flags of these CM mornings. So that was really awesome. I was feeling Sammy Ari's energy. I think his background said, "I am busy," which I'm like, that's great. I want that for my background. I also loved Mandy from Ypsilanti, Michigan. She had a great, really fun background. And then Julie from New York City, she had an analog background. She's still here. I saw her earlier. I think so. And how is that 5 so far? I think so. And then the last one was Dylan T.O. I was just really liking that nature background right there. I think he's there somewhere. Oh, okay. Was that 6? I think so. I went pretty fast.
That's so exciting. Good job, guys. I also want to give a shout out to all the different coffee companies. So we have Dispatch Coffee from Toronto, Ferris Coffee from Grand Rapids, Big Shoulders Coffee from Chicago, Phoenix Coffee Co. from Cleveland, Golden Cup Coffee from Buffalo, and Drifter Coffee from Detroit. I also now want another cup of coffee. Ooh, thanks, Mick. for all your help, and congrats, winners. We'll be in touch of how to get you your bag of beans. Okay, next I am going to pass it over to Tom, Creative Mornings Cleveland superhost, to take it away.
So how's everyone? I'm so excited. This is really beautiful. Emily, that was amazing. You're I'm Thomas Fox. I'm the host here in Cleveland, and it's very nice to see everybody. We didn't have much of a commute this morning, which is always nice. And we chose the theme for today's event for Creative Mornings to talk all over the world quite a while ago. We chose transit because we thought that, you know, it has such an influence over so many people's different things that they create. And then also, it's so important how we literally connect with each other. So around the same time that we were picking this theme, the Hyperloop line had been announced, that the study that NOACA had put together had been created. And we were like, this is perfect. And being here today, we were able to connect with Chris Bobko, who's the head of engineering. We're going to have him on in a minute, but before, check out, there's going to be, of all of the speakers today, there's going to be live drawings, digital illustration from Kiyomi Najitran. And so you're going to be able to see a live illustration of some things from Kiyomi. And we're going to have a little bit of time for questions, but just probably a couple. But as Chris is going through sharing about the Hyperloop, if you have any questions at all, leave them in the chat, and we'll pick a couple and get to what we can. And we'll see you. Let's see. Chris Bobko, are you here?
Good morning, everyone. I am.
All right, Chris, take it away.
Hi, thanks. This is Chris Bobko, Head of Engineering Integration at Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, or Hyperloop TT. Thanks for having me. Emily, I'm going to try to grab the control from you. So yeah, thanks to Tom for inviting. Thanks to everyone for having me. I wanted to just give a quick view into the projects that we're talking about, and particularly emphasis on the Great Lakes region. Thanks to Grace from NOACA as well for making the connection, and we'll understand a little bit more. So let's see, did my remote control go?
Yes.
Yes, but show meeting controls. There we go. But I still don't seem to be able to make something move. Ah, there it is. Nope, it went away. Emily, do you mind if I just tell you next slide? Will that work for you? Yeah, thanks. All right, so I took the theme of transit, and I guess when I think about transit, oftentimes I think about local transit. And what Hyperloop gives us the ability to do is really shrink distance and how we measure distance by time. And then I like to think that Hyperloop can become a transit system for mega regions. And the Great Lakes is a great example of a mega region where lots of things are connected and shared culturally. A lot of industrial connections are there, but by distance and time, it's still relatively difficult to get across this Great Lakes mega region. And a technology like Hyperloop can really help bridge that gap. Next one. So we think a little bit about what's the history of transportation and the history of human mobility, and even how development patterns are so affected by the mobility options that are available to us, where horse-drawn carriage, buggy, eventually single-person vehicles, Trains really ushered in a new era of industrialization, particularly across the United States. Aircraft have helped to shrink distances. And of course, in the last 20, 30 years, really been a democratization of air travel becoming more accessible. But all of these still have lots and lots of problems. And we haven't really seen a great new innovation in transportation technology since the airplane. And it's time for a new one. So next one. So we envision what's a new mode of transportation. It should be high speed, it should be efficient, it must be safe, it must be sustainable. And in order to enable those things, we think about a solution that can be frictionless and that can be profitable. And both of those so important when we think about how much investment a transportation system requires, even when it has a lot of potential payback for civilization. So this led us to jump off and take a concept coming from Elon Musk called Hyperloop and really develop it. So what is Hyperloop? Next slide. Basically, Hyperloop is a really high-speed moving vehicle inside a reduced pressure enclosed tube. And you can think of it as bringing airplane speeds to ground level. We have the vehicles inside, which we call a capsule. These capsules are levitated with a passive magnetic levitation technology that just requires a movement of the train over, or the capsule over the track, which really helps increase our efficiency, reduce the frictional drag. We are inside a tube, so that tube encloses a reduced pressure environment. We're a couple 100,000 feet above sea level in terms of the equivalent atmosphere. That environment is fully enclosed, of course, to help contain that pressure, but it also gives a lot of advantage. Many transportation delays happen because of weather issue, because of traffic issue. By really controlling the process, you get to control what's the reliability of the system. Everything is electromagnetic, so emission-free, all electric powered, and we have the ambition to collect energy from the system as well as use. So we try to make ourselves net energy positive, more energy delivered back to the grid than we take, and do a lot of system optimization that really enables us to minimize the operational cost. Next one. Gives us an opportunity to really reimagine what it means to be a passenger inside this kind of environment. So we've thought carefully about what a station environment can look like, how you access. The idea should be that kind of on-demand transit that you walk into the station and there's a capsule waiting to go to your destination that will depart in just a couple of minutes. Once you're on board that capsule as well, very human-centric design. We've worked a lot on the interior experience, the interior passenger, making sure that you feel comfortable and safe and secure. And one of the technology is around these augmented windows. So you see a virtual view of what's outside, or as you see in the picture below, whatever kind of interactive experience that you might be able to provide to passenger is something. Next one. Of course, the sustainability is extremely important. And so when we looked at designing the system, we tried to really think carefully about this and compare with other modes. So the graph on the left shows you an energy consumption per passenger mile as a function of speed in 4 classic modes. The car, which is what most of us are using to get around our world every day. And it's good for those kinds of short trips, but we know it's very inefficient and relatively slow. Trains are great for moving lots of people, and they can get pretty fast. The TGV in France, the Shinkansen in Japan, but they also do have a physical speed limit. You have airplanes, which take you that farther distance, but we also know those are quite inefficient. And it leads us again to this idea: Hyperloop can be faster than the high-speed train, at the speed of airplane, but with that energy consumption and emissions associated to the high-speed train. And we looked at that from the energy perspective. We look at it from an overall life cycle carbon emission, and the high-speed rail is one of the best in the overall life cycle cost. And because we're generating more energy than we're consuming, we come out ahead on the high-speed rail. Next one. So at Hyperloop TT, we've been working hard on this over the last few years. We have the world's first full-scale system. It's a 4-meter diameter tube that you see in my virtual background behind me at 320 meters long. This is in Toulouse, France. There we've been working on the test of the vacuum pumps, the control, isolation valve, passenger capsule. It's really our first test bed on this technology. Next one. So we had this technology. We thought about where it makes sense to really push for first routes around the world. We studied a few places. We made a lot of connections around the world. And one that really rose to the top, which is why I'm here with you all today, was in Great Lakes. And it started with Grace in Cleveland. And we really thought this is a really interesting corridor. And why is it so interesting? Well, there aren't really good reliable transportation networks between these except for the highway system. And by car, a trip between Cleveland and Chicago can take you more than 5 hours. A trip between Cleveland and Pittsburgh can take you more than 2. It's pretty annoying to drive that long. There's not really good train infrastructure for passengers, at least. There are airplane links, but these kinds of distances with airplane links mean that you often are spending more time in the airport at the gate on the tarmac, waiting to take off than you actually are in the air. It's the most inefficient part of the airplane flight is when you take off and land and taxi. So really huge opportunities. There's a lot of these kinds of opportunities around the world, but this is a really particular good one. So you see here the idea that driving trip between Cleveland and Chicago more than 5 hours, getting down to about 45 minutes. That drive between Cleveland and Pittsburgh more than two hours, getting down to less than half an hour. And this is what I mean when I say we have this idea that we have transit for a mega region. So we thought this was a really good idea. We brought it around, we pitched it. Next slide, please. And it enabled us to start a public-private partnership with our company, Hyperloop TT, a Great Lakes Hyperloop consortium of lots of local industry and regional stakeholder. We formed this public-private partnership specifically between Hyperloop TT and NOACA, the Metropolitan Planning Organization in Cleveland. Some of our executives there, you see Representative Capter looking on as we signed this, and we agreed to do a feasibility study. So next slide is the feasibility study, where we do a few things. We look at the site and do some preliminary route analysis, which we need to understand where we put station, what the ridership numbers are. We did a technical and financial feasibility study, including benchmarking construction and operation costs with a contingency. And we really went through the whole cost and schedule analysis following a benefit cost methodology dictated by the US DOT that would see if this project would be eligible to be part of a USD project. We had a draft release in December of 2019. It's 160 pages. You're welcome to go check it out. I encourage you. It's actually not that heavy of a read. It's very interesting. And we think it's the most comprehensive feasibility study of a Hyperloop system that's ever been released. It went through months of public comment and peer review. And we have a final release scheduled for this month. And the latest I heard was we're going to maybe do an event, I think in December, to really mark that release. But here's some highlights. Next one. So again, we looked at the different routes and a couple different cities that can be added. And the idea here is that each of the capsules would mostly be a point-to-point operation. So if you were going from Cleveland to Chicago, the capsule itself would not need to stop in Toledo, but we could also enable a trip between Cleveland and Toledo. Next one. The big upshot of this is that the study shows that a system can be profitable. It costs a lot, like any infrastructure project. It's a big number on that approximate capital cost. But what's really exciting is that because of the low operational cost, because of the revenue opportunities that a Hyperloop brings, we don't think it needs any operating subsidy. So usually in transportation projects, you can get some federal dollars to build, and then the states or local regions are sitting holding the bag to operate it from year after year. In fact, it provides you a $30 billion operating profit over the project life. If you look in the cost benefit or benefit cost ratio for US DOT, it comes up way above 1, 2.2, and there's an economic return. So this really allows us to give private investment a role to play because it's a very attractive infrastructure investment play. So this would continue this idea of the public-private partnership. Next one. Of course, any new transportation infrastructure has a huge regional economic impact, and we don't want to forget that either. And this is how usually we pitch transportation projects, not because they make money, but because they have a regional economic impact. So this one does both. It makes money and it has the regional economic impact. So a huge number of jobs, property value around these increase, gives an expanded tax base. And really this kind of technology impacts during the construction phase and during the operation phase, many different industry. From engineering, design, construction, but also entertainment, other transportation provider, augmenting ports, augmenting distribution center, all of that. Next one is the end. So really the future is here. We have some next steps. You see the links on the screen here on our company, Hyperloop TT, and you'll see more information about the Great Lakes Hyperloop study at glhyperloopoutreach.com. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, Chris. That was really good to hear. I've been familiar with all this for a little bit. It's really good to share all of that with everyone. There was a bunch of different questions. We're going to try and do just one really quick. And I'm going to sum up a few. A lot of people were asking things about, Toronto to Montreal or Baltimore to DC, or can we get this up to Detroit? And can we get it down to lead? Like there's a lot of, everybody wants to know where they are, and there's high-speed rail in other countries, but not here. Like basically how can we get this to happen?
Yeah, how we can get this to happen is exactly why we're here, continuing to do this kind of outreach and build this kind of support. As we look to extend to other cities, it's things that we are in process of right now. We've been talking how we extend from here. Again, part of the reason to start in Cleveland, Chicago, Pittsburgh was that it is kind of this central hub, and it makes a lot of sense to go other places working from that central hub. And I think we'll be able to announce some things on that as we go. In comparison, in high-speed rail, I think they serve different purpose. So even when we look in places that that have a better developed high-speed rail infrastructure than places like the United States, we see that people are pretty willing to take high-speed rail when it takes about 2 hours or less to complete the journey. There are many markets where it would take more than 2 hours, even if you built out a well-developed high-speed rail network. And again, as you think about distance and time and the people's value of time, it's the huge opportunity for a technology like Hyperloop to take that market share currently held by airplanes. But as we were saying, it's the most inefficient part of the airplane journey, both in terms of travel time and energy efficiency. So.
All right, we've got to get going to the next feature. Thanks so much for sharing today, Chris.
Thank you. I'll see if I can answer some questions in the chat for the next little bit.
Excellent. So the next feature is, so I believe, oh, are we going to show Kiyomi's illustration? Cool. And we're going to share these illustrations Kiyomi's going to be doing illustrations of each of the talks, and we'll share these with everyone after the event today. But we do need to get moving on. And the next feature that we have is Olivia is next. Trivia
Yes.
Transit.
Yes.
Transit trivia.
Here we go. Everyone shake it out. We're going to the next thing. We're going into our transit trivia. Get excited. Get your thinking caps on and let's go. So the first question we have today, if someone can switch my slides, how many gallons of water are in the Great Lakes? Think about it. Put your thinking caps on. This is an open book test. Yes. Okay, let's have those answers come in on that chat. Okay, we have some answers that are vague. You're almost getting there. Let's keep going a little bit higher. Yeah. Okay. We're getting closer. Okay. Oh, I think we just got a winner from Louisa, Toronto. Louisa was the first to answer that. So the answer slide here, we have 6 quadrillion or 22.7 quadrillion liters for our Canadian folks. Yes, so Louisa, if I could get your email, send that to me and my friends from Creative Mornings will collect that. All right, next question. Rub your hands together, do something to get excited for the next question. What Great Lakes city does not allow cars to enter its limits? Need you in the chat. Open book test. Here we go. Oh, all right, Chrissy from Chicago, Dublin, Ireland. Yes, Mackinac City or Island, excuse me. Yeah, population of 492 people, has prohibited motorized vehicles since 1898. Fun fact for you. Both of you guys will be winning a free ticket. Yes, to Ink Factory. And Ink Factory's workshop that you will be able to go to is a visual illustration workshop. They'll walk you through some simple visual goals, setting strategies to help you focus on your plans and stay inspired. And you do not need to know how to draw or take visual notes to participate. So congratulations, you guys, and I will be passing this over to Mar.
Mar, you're muted.
Sorry guys, I'm here. Hey everyone, so I'm your host from Creative Mornings Toronto, and I'm super happy to say hello to all our morning people from the Great Lakes. Yay! So it is now time to introduce you to our second speaker, and I am very excited to introduce her to you. I have to tell you that unfortunately Jennifer could not be here with us live, but she of course sends her apologies, and we managed to record her message for you. So Jennifer Kismat is an urban planner, and she is the CEO of the Kismat Group. She is also our former Chief City Planner here in the city of Toronto, and she was named one of the most influential and powerful people of Canada. So that's it. Let's hear what she has to say.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mar. I'm absolutely thrilled to be talking to you today, and very sad that I'm not here in the live format, but that's the weird thing about Zoom. It might seem almost the same. As Mar indicated, I've had the fabulous experience of working both in the private sector and in the public sector, and in the public sector most recently as a chief planner in the city of Toronto. And I want to talk a little bit, the theme of course is transit, but I want to talk a little bit about the notion of the moment we find ourselves in history right now, because this is a weird moment, and it's a weird moment for so many different reasons, including the fact that we're on the cusp of probably one of the most historic and important presidential elections in America that, that might happen in our lifetimes. But then also, of course, there's the challenge of this global pandemic, which is upending a whole series of assumptions that we've had about the world that we live in and how we will move forward in the world that we live in today. When I began as a chief planner in the city of Toronto, I was a vocal proponent for a very clear vision of the future. And that's a vision that was based on inclusion and sustainability and livability and transforming our cities away from being places that are designed around cars to being places that are designed for people, places that are designed for walking and cycling and transit and livability and community life. And the amazing thing is, in the city of Toronto, of course, we're a city of 2.9 million people, and we continue to grow very rapidly. And we are a city of neighborhoods. We are a city where people, you know, when you say, where are you from? People say the beach or Roncesvalles or North York, but there's a neighborhood that we associate with where it is that we live. And I think what's so important about that is it demonstrates that you can live in a very big city and still be very connected to the fabric of the place around you. The idea I want to talk about this morning, which is this idea of being an advocate, is really critical, I think, in this moment in history. And I'll introduce talking about this by first saying that I hope at least some of you have seen The Social Dilemma. Because The Social Dilemma, one of the really big takeaways that I took from that movie, other than turn off your notifications, is that if you can take the most creative, the brightest minds of our time, and you can assign them to a task. But if that task isn't linked to a vision of the future world that we're seeking to create, who cares? You know, the like button is a phenomenal invention of our time. And we know that, and it was one of the things that's so profound about The Social Dilemma, is because we're actually hearing from people who are at the heart of creating the technology that all of us rely on for our everyday lives right now. And essentially, we were hearing a mea culpa. They were essentially saying, look, we did these things, but now they're actually being used in a way that's creating division, that is sowing really the seeds of the worst of what we see in humanity. And this is why I go back to this notion of being an advocate. And whatever your job is, whatever that you do, and I was accused of being an advocate because I was a proponent of cycling. I was a proponent of transit-oriented communities, and in particular, investing in transit in the neighborhoods that are least connected to the rest of the city, which tend to be our poorest neighborhoods. And it's interesting now, watching The Social Dilemma, looking at this moment of multiple crises that we see, a crisis of leadership, a crisis of climate, a crisis of a pandemic. And it becomes clearer to me than it's ever been that no matter what we do, we have to have clarity about the world in which we are participating and the kind of world that we are creating. And in the absence of firmly locating ourselves within a really clear vision of the future that we're seeking to build and seeking to create, there's a risk that the work that we are developing and the work that we're creating can actually be used against us, can be used against the great human project. And so when we think about cooperation and erasing borders and creating communities that are fundamentally sustainable, which means they're not based on cars, they're actually based on very, very low carbon forms of transportation, which primarily is going to be walking, which means we need density and we need a mix of use. But it also means that we're going to create transit that is really a tool for facilitating the 15-minute neighborhood, meaning a place where you can do a whole variety of things. Even if you're in a city of 2.9 million, you can do a whole variety of things within walking distance of home. if we're going to deliver on that, we actually have to evaluate what we're doing every day and ensuring that what we're doing every day is linked to a bigger vision. And for me, that bigger vision has always been about community, inclusion, sustainability, social justice, good governance. All of these pieces need to come together, and the work that we do needs to be evaluated in relation kind of every day as to whether it is delivering on what I keep referring to as the Great Human Project. And I see cities as being a part of the Great Human Project. And the Great Human Project is about, well, at this moment in time, it's actually sort of about survival. Are we going to survive? But it's also about inclusion. And in our best moments, the Great Human Project is about thriving. Are we creating places in a community, in a world where everyone has the opportunity to choose, like to put your best foot forward and to thrive? And the risk, of course, is that our governance is designed in such a way that we don't have the opportunity to thrive. That, you know, some people are kind of snuffed out, that don't have the same kind of voice in the process. The risk, of course, is that we design our cities in such a way that we exclude people either by the design of our housing or the design of our transit or the design of our economy. That's a phenomenal and incredible risk. There's a risk, of course, that we don't thrive because at a very basic level, the air we breathe is detrimental to our health. And we saw this really clearly during the first phase of the lockdown. One of the things that happened very quickly was that air quality went up in our cities because we were driving less, we were commuting less. So I want to kind of link together for you. These are, in some ways, they're kind of random thoughts, but they're thoughts that are very much driven by this moment we find ourselves in history. And it's really the key kind of tenor of what I'm talking about here is that everything we do, no matter who we are, no matter what industry we're in, you are a part of the human project. You're either contributing to the thriving of humanity over time, whether you can see it or not, or you're detracting from it. And that might be really hard to see in your day-to-day work, but it's something that all of us almost need to become hyper aware of. We need to become hyper aware of the fact that the stakes are super, super high. Whether it's around governance or inclusion or environmental sustainability or our overall human health, the stakes have become incredibly high. So what do we do about that every day? Well, I started out by saying that I was criticized as a chief planner in the city of Toronto because I was an advocate. And I'll just, as a little anecdote, I talked a lot about walking and cycling and transit as the foundation to a modern society. And I was very active and vocal on Twitter, which was new at the time for a bureaucrat. And I was criticized for having too strong of an opinion on these matters. And the irony is, you always want to be on the right side of history. The irony of this is that the same people who, when I was chief planner, criticized my advocacy have now in turn today become advocates for things like walkable neighborhoods and 15-minute neighborhoods and cycling infrastructure. And some of us are always going to lag, right? Some of us are going to be, catching up. And what I would like to argue is that more of us need to be driven by a very clear vision of the kind of world that we're seeking to create and the world that we do every day. And we need to ask ourselves, how does my work contribute to a more inclusive, environmentally sustainable? How does it contribute to better governance? We have to be asking these questions and struggling and wrestling with these questions, even when we're undertaking mundane tasks. The like button sounds sort of mundane, but has had a profound impact on the course of human history. It's kind of crazy, but it's true. And the very reason why the leaders that we saw in the social dilemma stepping out and speaking is because they became aware of the impact of the work that we were doing and how that work contributed to the human project. So I would just like to say, kind of in terms of wrapping this up, that I'd like to encourage everyone to really think about, dwell on this question, embrace this question of what is the human project? How do I fit within it in the work that I do every day? And how can I be a part of delivering on creating a world that serves the greater good in whatever it is that I do every day? Because I think that all of us need to embrace a recognition and seeing ourselves as being a part of creating the world around us. After all, when you get on your bike, when you choose to get on your bike instead of choosing to get in your car, that's what you're doing. You're creating the city. You're creating the world around you by the choices that you make every day. And our work is a very powerful tool where we do that as well. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes to all of that, right? Give me some just hands for Jennifer. I will make sure she sees this video. And if you have a message for her, just drop it in the chat. She is such an inspiring woman. And I'm so glad that people like her get to the top. And I just wish that she keeps just pushing the world to make it a better place for all of us. And before we pass it on, can we look at Kiyomi's illustration about Jennifer's? I just want to, like, I cannot see, it's too small. Can we pin that?
And then we'll have, like Tom said earlier, all these in digital formats for distribution to all of our participants later with a little bit cleaned up details.
Oh my God, you're so good. Thank you, Kiyomi. So now it's time to pass it over to Gabe de la Mora. Gabe, are you here? Hello.
Delamora. I am a photographer on the Creative Mornings Chicago team. And this month for our transit theme, we wanted to throw a photo contest giveaway with our sponsor, KEH. And so our theme this month was transit, and we asked you guys to, for 2 different gift cards, either tag a friend in the comment section or share some of your street photography with us. And so if we can go to the next slide. Our $50 gift card winners are Julie Elisa Flores and then Hello Elizabeth. Congratulations. And the next slide will be maddie-mason.jpg. Thank you for sharing your photos with us. And that'll be all.
Hey folks, it's Marlene Paez-Dukes up in Chicago over here at the Great Lakes. We are wrapping up. Thank you so much for staying with us to the very end. And I'm super excited to be able to introduce our last speaker. He has traveled the world in over 48 different countries. He's performed for multiple orchestras as well here in Chicago and also places abroad like in Belarus. He's also performed with several Grammy Award-winning artists and jazz musicians like Slide Hampton and Dizzy Gillespie, like some of the greats, and he's also a professor and wants to be able to mentor the next generation of musicians. And it's a very special time, folks, because as a part Filipino, our speaker today, it is also Filipino Heritage Month in October. So, Filipino folks in the crowd can make some noise too. So let's give a really, really big, warm Great Lakes welcome to Ernie Adams.
That's how I like to start my mornings. And I could have kept going. First of all, good morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are watching this. I want to thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere else, doing something else in the world, but you're here with me and this incredible crew in Chicago, and I appreciate that. But first, let's give a big thumbs up to Dr. Chris Bobko and Jennifer Kleesmat for their great speeches. Phenomenal, very inspiring. And I know today's topic is transit, which for myself, being a musician, being a creative, transit has been very important in my life in many ways. Transit, but moving, right? Moving things from one place to another, transportation. And when I was approached about doing this, it really had me thinking about how much my life, my career is always in transit. Every day, my life is in transit, whether it's moving sound, moving air with sound, or my limbs moving, or trying to move myself into a better position career-wise, or my health or whatever. So I just want to try to drop a few nuggets of experiences and wisdom that I've gone through to help anyone who is just trying to look to get to that next stage, and to just experience life as we transit through our own lives. So, man, when it comes to myself, my music, my father said that when I was in the crib, whenever the music would be on in the house, I would move my arms and legs, constantly moving. My limbs would be in transit, right? And so, but he said every time he would turn it off, I would stop. He would turn on the music and I would be moving again. So he went out and bought, couldn't even afford an entire drum set, but bought me parts of a drum set, and I learned from there. And there were people in my neighborhood who I would watch and play, the guy on the street, the drummer, or the Puerto Ricans and Cubans and the brothers in the park playing hand percussion. So there was always music, which really helped me a lot. And at 15, in high school, I actually had my first professional gig. And I remember I didn't get paid. They were supposed to pay me, but I didn't get paid, but my dad said it was okay. It was the experience. And I remember that night completely. The point I'm making is that I realized this is what I wanted to do for a living. And I hope everyone can find their passion, something that they can find that they would go to the end for. I know there's nothing worse than having to do something that you don't really feel from the heart and the soul. And I hope we can all find that, because it's made my life incredible. Everything I have is through music. As she mentioned earlier, Marlene, that it's taken me all over the world. And one of the things that when she said transit, I remember in high school driving to school, and I was coming from the north side of Milwaukee, and I would be driving towards downtown, and right in the middle of downtown is a freeway that exits to my right, which is Madison, Wisconsin, or to my left, east, towards the lake. And then there was always that one sign that said straight ahead, Chicago. And to me back then, Chicago was just this big city that I didn't know anything about, and I always wondered what it was like, but I never headed that direction. I was either heading to school but I just had no reason to go to Chicago. And eventually I was in a group in Milwaukee that ended up, they replaced me, and I found out later on there was a lot involved, but the best thing that ever happened to me was to leave that, because while I was playing with them, I met someone from Chicago, a bass player, who invited me to Chicago, and I'll never forget taking that trip, going past that sign that said Chicago, all the way down to Chicago, and meeting and hearing some of the most incredible musicians and people in the world. And while I was in Chicago, that's when, at 26, a gentleman by the name of Stanley Turrentine, a musician from the New York area, asked me to go on tour with him. And the first time I was ever out of the country was I went to Japan for a month. And it changed me. I think if everyone gets a chance to travel, to explore, again, right, transit, to be able to see different parts of the world, I think as we explore, we explore ourselves. So please make sure that you, even if it's another neighborhood or whatever, because I know I'm speaking to a lot of people who just haven't been out of their city or whatever, and I really hope that you can just get out there and experience the world. While you're out there, make sure you get lost, okay? And again, as you discover, you're going to discover yourself. And again, with music and everything taking me all over, I really felt like I started to belong, because when I was younger, being in certain situations, there were times when I didn't feel like I belonged, okay? Whether it was me being half black, being half Filipino, being the youngest, okay? Being from Milwaukee. I remember being proud I'm from the big city of Milwaukee, and then I come to Chicago and I'm a cheesehead, okay? And then I'm like, all right, I'm in Chicago, and then the guys from New York and the guys from LA that I would play with, like, well, man, you're just a hick from the Midwest. So then I start touring the world, and it's like, oh man, you're from the States, which is kind of screwed up right now, right? So again, what did Mark Twain say? Travel is the enemy of bigotry, narrow-mindedness, and one more, I think. And I really found that to be true. Again, it's helped me so much to meet incredible people. And I hope to meet a few of you, or many of you watching today in my travels, or if you get a chance, and it's not I didn't plan on doing this, but check out my website, ernieadamsmusic.com. Please connect with me, and I hope to catch up with you. Would love to talk with you. But again, going back to maybe not feeling a part of like being a part of the group, you know, feeling different. Embrace those differences, okay? Everyone in this room right now with me, incredible people, but they're all different. And again, embrace those differences, because that is what's going to make you unique, okay? I used to try to sound like every other drummer, and I had tons of people who enjoyed my drumming, okay? But when I decided to be me and to create for myself, that's when I realized that I may not have had as many people who enjoyed my music, but now I have a few people who loved it, okay? Be an individual. And sometimes there's going to be some fear involved in that. And I remember being a kid playing these little snare drum etudes. I got to play some more. You have to play things like in front of 3 judges, and I'm in grade school, and I would shake from being so nervous. And then through high school, playing with professionals, different people, and I realized that my life changed when I learned these 2 words, and excuse my language, but these 2 words, fuck it. Really, really, and I mean it in a good way, not in like, oh, I don't care, but like, hey man, it's time to go, and I'm going to give it my all. And you remember, you can't enjoy yourself if you're nervous. Okay, I was speaking with a couple people about being nervous, and I finally learned to say, look, I'm nervous, but I understand that, but I'm going to take that nervousness, take it in, swallow it, eat it up, and then push it out. And I tell you, it's changed my life. I got to play again. I hope you don't mind. you know, that for me, I didn't know what I was going to play. And just being in that moment of playing, it takes a lot of trust, and just letting yourself go. Again, being in that moment, I didn't know if I was going to play some jazz or this funk groove. Being in the moment, which a lot of us don't really get a chance to do. We're either thinking about what we need to do, or we're thinking about what we should have done. I'll be at a gig and I'm saying goodnight to my daughter, and oh, you know, okay, sweet, I'll see you in the morning. Or I've got a grocery list I've got to do, or I think, oh, I should have done that. But when I play music, I'm in that moment. If you're creative, please remember to be in that moment, knowing how to be in the moment, enjoying the moment. Okay. And another thing I want to talk about is being grateful. Before we started, when we were listening to Dr. Bobko and Jennifer, I looked up and I just said thank you, just to like the universe, to God, because this is what an incredible situation, and it's not about me. It's just about being around all these people. All these people here, I think I'm older than them, but they inspire me. Okay, and yeah, make sure that you look up. Many times when I'm walking, I look down, but when you get a chance, always look up, and your disposition will change. Yeah, we're talking about all these people. You know, how do you not get old is by surrounding yourself with younger people. My students, so many people inspire me. And what else? I just got the 2-minute warning, and I just want to say, yeah, be an individual. Okay, don't be afraid to be an individual, which is going to cause you to be alone, not lonely. Some of my most incredible moments of growth as an artist, as a person, was when I would spend 6, 7, 8 hours a day by myself, maybe just practicing. That happened in college, and that happened a few years after college, learning how to just enjoy being with yourself. I also just want to talk about giving back. Okay, for me, again, I'm older now, but my growth is being able to give back to people who remind me how I used to be, have the energy, and just to look up and go, wow, I can't wait. Now everything is serious, and it's work, and which I love. But younger people, they remind me how I used to be, with the energy and the wonder and everything. So make sure you give back. Okay, as I teach, I learn. Okay, as I give, I receive. So what else? I think we're down to a minute. And I just want to say, let me play. How about that? Let me play some more. Woo. You know, we're all being transported on this planet, okay? We're all on this planet together. We're being transported. We're all moving together. We should all remember that and try to, you know, love, all right? And just work together so we can all exist and just have fun as we're in transit, I guess. So thank you, everybody. Truly appreciate everything. I didn't say half of the things I wanted to say, but truly appreciate it. Again, I would love to be in contact with you. www.ernieadamsmusic.com. Okay. Again, thank everyone, the crew here in Chicago, Toronto, Cleveland, everybody around the world. I look forward to catching up with you. Peace. I don't know. I hope.
Thank you so much, Ernie. So, folks, if you have questions, by all means, let's put them into the chat, and we can have Ernie go ahead and say a few things about it. So, go ahead. Let us know what's brimming in our young musician minds here in the Great Lakes. Go ahead. You're getting so much love right now into the chat.
Oh.
People are saying, inspiring, bravo. It's like you think better when you're doing something you love. Yes, that's amazing. All right, let's see. Wow, a talk. Yeah. I got drums in my heart is what people are saying. Yes, thank you so much, Julio. Yes, and Allison also loved the Mark Twain quote, so that's great. Yeah, folks, questions. All right, so the first one is from Tristan from Chardon, Ohio. Asks, how did you develop a skill for playing the drums?
You know, that's one of those things that you just immerse yourself in. You don't think, you feel. I'm classically trained. I studied, but I think the great thing is that I started playing and enjoying my art, my craft from within. I didn't think about my technique yet. I just started playing from the heart, and I just made it a part of me. I never said that I'm going to be this. I just thought this was the natural thing to do, is to play music. And so that's what basically, because I loved it, I would do nothing but practice, read about it, listen. And yeah, that's it. That's all I can say, really.
Great. So Alex asks, who or what have you been listening to over the past few weeks?
Oh, wow. Great question. On the way here, I was listening to Diggable Planets, cool like that. You know, I play so many different styles of music. I grew up playing jazz. I love jazz, but I always have to say I have to have a side of funk, hip hop, you know. But I also need like an appetizer of some Afro-Cuban or African music or Brazilian, all the rhythms. What else I've been listening to? Been listening to McCoy Tyner. Great recording, some jazz, some hip hop, some funk. Whatever really, you know, I've been listening to Holt's The Planets, Mars, the Bringer of War. Check that out. It's classical. And the beautiful thing is that whenever I listen to music that I need, and I say need, it lifts my spirits. Remember to have music there that can help you, because it's rough out here right now. It's hard. And music changes my entire psyche, my molecular structure when it's right.
Okay, the last question is going to be from Jessica Littlefield. She says, you mentioned that you missed some things you wanted to say. What was one point you wished that you had?
One point that I wanted to say. Let's see. You know, talking about transition. We're all heading towards that transition at the end of our lives, you know, and there are people in our lives that have made that transition, people close to us, and remember, they're not a father or mother or grandparent who has passed. They're now your ancestor, okay? People who are still guiding you, okay, and still pulling for you and trying to give you that energy. And there are many times when I find myself in a situation where it's like, it's rough, and I'll think about my grandmother, Native American grandmother, or my Filipino grandfather, or just my father. Both my parents have passed, but a couple times I've heard my father's voice say, "All right, man up, handle your business," and it would wake me up. Or I would just see my mom and hear her smile. So that's one thing I wanted to mention about transition, that they're not your dead relative. They are now your ancestor. And listen, make sure you talk to them. Listen.
Right. Thank you again so much. Can we give a big round of applause, everyone, Great Lakes, to Ernie Adams? Thank you so much. We're so appreciative.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for transporting us to a new place through your drums. Now I'm going to kick it over to Tom to close this out. Over to you.
Ernie, that was amazing.
Are we off camera?
Yeah.
And I've got a 10 o'clock.
Are you guys there? You know, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I'm going to share just a little bit. I'd like to say that this Creative Mornings Great Lakes experiment has been amazing. You know, putting these things together takes a lot of work. They do in the regular world when we're doing things normally, and then they do when they're just our own chapters, and bringing everybody together has been it's been challenging, and it's been so worth it. This was unbelievable, despite being a little bit over on time, which thank you for everyone for sticking with us right through to the end. This has just been such a wonderful event. Thank you to all of our speakers, all of our participants, Julio Valentin, Humankind Quest, Ozma Speaks, Chris Bobko, Jen Keesmat, Ernie Adams, and all of our today's sponsors, pitchers, and especially all of the volunteers, Marlene and the entire tech team in Chicago, Emily in Grand Rapids, Anne Marie in Detroit, Mar and her team over in Toronto, Kelly and your team in Buffalo. Ernie had this one thing he said I had to write down. While you're out there, you're gonna discover yourself. And we do these things because it helps for us to inspire each other, and it's just beautiful to be a part of all of this. And you guys go out and make something great. I believe in Nick. The last lay it out with DJ Jillian. Thanks again. Oh, we're not going to close. Leaving comments in the chat. Send direct ideas that you're trying to explore. If you want to connect with any of our individually in each of our chapters, there's going to be doing things. This is going to be the last for us in Cleveland for a little bit, but it's really beautiful that we got to do this.